On our first question, if you can talk about the vision for this position.
Yeah, the vision for this position, this is what we call a program manager. And this position leads and oversees the operations in the two districts. We have districts, District 10 and District 11. Those are Jefferson, Crook, Deschutes, Klamath, and Lake counties. Within that, there are, I believe, around 8 offices. We are housed, OEP or Oregon Eligibility Partnership is housed within self-sufficiency and aging and people with disability offices. So we are not a standalone. We are in partnership with those two programs. Aging and people with disabilities have case management services for our elderly population along with our disabled population, and self-sufficiency is for our single adults, couples, and of course, children and families. So diverse communities that we serve, but we all serve the same people just in different ways. So the vision for this position is to lead all of the counties, like I said, Jefferson, Crook, Deschutes, Klamath, and Lake counties, and ensure that we are federally compliant with FNS, which is Food and Nutrition Service for SNAP. CMS, I don't know what that stands for, my apologies, but it oversees from the federal government all of our medical, both Medicaid and Medicare programs. We also have temporary aid to needy families, which is what everyone used to call welfare, but it is cash for families. And then we have, it's got a new name, but it is daycare services for our working families, along with those that are searching for work that are in the TANF program. So lots of things we do, and it's really making sure that we're in compliant federally and state policies, but also leading, right? How do you lead people through change? How do you lead people through high stress? And how do you do it in a way that's supportive and really builds and develops staff and managers along the way? It is also about the vision of this position is to really build and maintain respectful relationships with our tribal partners in both District 10 and District 11. That would be the Warm Springs tribe along with the Klamath tribe, right? How they need benefits, where they need benefits, when they need it, ensuring that we're able to reach them and their needs. We're mostly internal, meaning we really are trying to do eligibility, get food on the table, get medical approved so people can get the medication and services they need, right? Also looking at long-term care, which is adult care for those elderly folks that are now unable to take care of themselves independently, and of course, childcare. So the vision is really making sure we're in compliance, but we're also leading and we're supporting and developing staff to the best of our ability so that they can grow in their own professions and be able to serve those in our communities. Also, the vision of this position is really bringing the teams together. We are a statewide workload, which means that Serby could be serving someone at our Bend office for SNAP. And then when she's done doing that, she might pull an application for someone that lives in Ontario because they're the next person waiting to get benefits. And so we are a statewide workload where we are trying to be as equitable as possible across the state for those in need. So really shifting to a statewide team. So this person is really going to need those communication skills, dynamic communication skills, and leadership style to be able to work with 14 other program managers within the storefronts across the state. And again, along with our tribes in the local areas they will be leading. So that's really the vision to be able to do that. And we need a succession plan, right? We're all not going to be around for forever. So how do we develop those new leaders or upcoming leaders so that when we step away or we step up or we step over, those folks can follow in our footsteps and really still continue to lead the work that we do.
I love that what you talked about succession plan. So thank you for sharing that, AJ. Next question is around the skills and what experience is required. So as everybody must have seen in the job posting, and I'm also putting in the chat as well. So the state has a variety of classifications, as many of you may know or may not know. So the title is of OEP Storefront Manager, but the classification is of Human Services Manager too. And the minimum qualifications for this position is 6 years of supervision, management, or progressively related experience, or 3 years of related experience in that field, and a bachelor's degree along with that. So as the applications come across, that's the first screening we conduct on the applications. Does the applicant meet the MQs, the minimum qualifications or not? Followed by that, the essential attributes, also mentioned in the job posting you must have seen, is what we're looking for the top candidates, for the person in this role to have as they step into this role. So I will put those in the chat as well, and you can access within the job posting as well. So the community partnership with equity focus, as AJ talked about, partnership with tribes in the D10, D11 area, building teams across those locations, the leadership management style, overall program effectiveness, as ODHS is 12,000 plus people, and the communities it serve, the business acumen needed for this kind of manager, and overall communication and collaboration. So would love AJ to talk more about the skills needed in this role.
For me, is really having that dynamic leadership style and, of course, communication. Communication is key, and being able to adjust and flex where needed, right? Because everyone is unique in their communication styles. And how do you do that? How someone talks to me is different than how they're going to talk to Survey, or I'm going to pick on the people in the audience, or Patricia, or Rachel, right? And so being able to do that, because that's really leadership, and having those communication dynamic shifts is going to be key, especially since every community within District 10 and 11, every community is different, and the staff that we hire reflect those communities. And so with that, the diversity in which we work is we need to flex and meet them where they're at. So definitely communication. It's also leading through change. It talks about obviously leadership experience, but we're going through a lot of change in OEP, or eligibility partnership, as you all have probably heard, or most of you. There is what we call the HR1 bill. HR1 bill really changed some of the requirements that we have for our SNAP program. It affects a lot of people and how we deliver those services, and how they are eligible, or how they become eligible, and how they stay eligible, along with our accuracy, right? Federal government has said we must be 95% accurate with our SNAP. So that's a change, right? This is a standard change that is new to all of us, even though some of us that have been around for 27 years. And so how do we lead staff through change? How do we lead communities through change? And how do we have that communication with our community partners on what that looks like, along with just change, right? As our communities change, as factories close down or people move into this area, that's change. It's new people that are coming in the door, along with serving those that need us each and every month, right? We might know them for the last 10 years, but we might have someone new. And so how do we really coach our leaders, our supervisors, along with our staff, on even the changing of our customers and their needs, right? So leading through change, and creating that stability and consistency, as you all know, right? With change, we like to see one thing that stays the same, and to have a leader that is consistent and how they lead, how they coach, how they manage, really is that anchor for supervisors and staff. So being able to be that leader that can be that stable, consistent one, I should say, really helps folks as we shift with a very high workload and a very high demand on those that do our eligibility, which is our eligibility workers. So I would say leadership skills, obviously communication, both internal and external, and being dynamic in those communication styles is key.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Can you talk about what the day to day would look like, and what makes this role exciting with the day to day operations and work of it?
Day to day, wow. No day is the same, right? One day you could be working with your supervisors on how do we build morale. The next day it could be that we're talking about accuracy and how are we supporting staff and the tools that they need to lift up that accuracy, those accuracy numbers with quality and good customer service. I mean, that's number one, right? And the next day, we might be dealing with a building that has no electricity because the power went out. And how do you maneuver and how do you lead folks through some of those sudden changes that just happen, right? The next day could be meeting with the local tribal elders, or it could be that you're meeting with the local aging and people with disability district manager or the self-sufficiency child welfare district manager, right? Or it could be the day after next, you're in a meeting talking about all the changes that are coming, and then how can you then put it down into chunk size pieces for your staff and for your supervisors and really be able to relay that message or that change. So every day is going to be different, and that's what's exciting. Never a dull moment in a program manager's day, right? I was one at one time several years ago, and what makes it exciting is number one, District 10 and District 11, the staff are so unique and so diverse and really truly want to do the right thing for the people that they serve, right? It's state government. We're not here for fame and fortune. They're here because they want to serve people. And so that's what it's exciting is to see how they interact, how we're able to get the food on the table, how they're willing to step up and do what needs to be done, right? And it's exciting to be able to meet people where they're at in the communities, to be able to talk to our community partners, be able to talk to our internal partners. It's just exciting. It's exciting with the communities that we serve, the staff that serve them, and how we lead them. I love my position as a program manager. And what I would say with these, we're in 2026. This is really a statewide program manager serving District 10 and 11. You get to work with and create relationships with program managers across the state. And it is a dynamic team. Yes, I'm probably pretty biased, but it's the best team in how do we group together? How do we ensure that we do this for all the people that are living in Oregon? And how do we do it together? So that's the exciting thing for me. Oregon Eligibility Partnership has just brought all eligibility together around 14 months ago. So we're young, we're babies when it comes to programs. Self-sufficiency, child welfare, and aging and people with disabilities have been around for a very long time. So we're the little kid sibling. So it's exciting because we really are stabilizing, we are evolving, and so that's super exciting for all of us. We're kind of frontiering as we go and really making it a seamless process for the people we serve and good customer service.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, AJ. As the we'll go to the interview process and the screening and the interview process, but if you could talk about what would the onboarding and training plan would look like as the person fills this position.
So onboarding is really getting to know, right? Getting to know who you're going to work with, right? Who are the supervisors you're going to lead? Who are the program managers in the other programs that you are going to be peers with? Getting to know the district managers in the area and collaborating. So really onboarding, getting to know them, and then getting to know your staff and your supervisors, right? Sitting back and really observing what that looks like. It's also about having a peer coach. I am a big believer in a peer coach, right? If you have someone that has got a few scars and scrapes from their own experience as a program manager, it's really pairing this person up with someone that has done the job, is doing the job, has been here, and you can bounce things off of that you may not want to bounce off me, right? It's kind of hard to go to your supervisor if you're like, I should probably know this. You have a peer coach, you have someone that you can bounce ideas off of. Ask those questions that maybe you feel silly with asking with me. Not that my door is not open, but I don't always ask my supervisor things. I go to my peers, right? And do that staffing and that collaboration. So definitely consistent peer coach. We have, for those of you that are from private sector, we have MS Teams chat, which is really our lifeline to everyone. And so everybody is willing to reach out. We have a statewide program manager chat. That's how we ask questions as a team and get answers as a team. A lot of the times, I don't even have to answer it because there's another program manager that has the answer. So they answer each other. They really support each other. Then they let me know if none of them can answer it, and then that's when I step in. We also have our virtual eligibility center, and that is really what most people call a call center, but that's where we do all of our eligibility over the phone. So if we've got a single mom or dad that really doesn't want to take their kiddos out in the snow, or we have someone with mobility issues, or someone that just simply doesn't want to leave the house, they can actually call and do their eligibility. That's a whole nother team that is there for support and guidance. We also have an amazing HR human resource team that is there to help us with all the things and stuff we need to do for the personnel side. And of course, we have our amazing recruiters like Servi that help us with recruitment. What does that mean? How do we really create job postings that are going to get the folks that we want to apply, as well as how do you craft those questions? What do you do with panels? How do you make them diverse and equitable? So lots of people out there. It takes a village, and OEP is there to help with that onboarding and support.
Thanks so much for sharing that, AJ. My next question is around, of course, the work schedule piece and travel required. As folks must have seen in the posting, this is an in-office position, so you're required to report to the business location as needed, whether D10 or 11, or as within those DHS offices or where work is being done. But if you can talk about any travel across the state, since it's a statewide program, so what are the expectations around working from office, some report opportunity or not, and overall travel?
Yes, okay. Excellent question. So this is a storefront program manager, meaning really leading those that are in person serving our communities. So this position is mostly in person, traveling around to the different offices to be present, to lead, to connect, to know what's going on in each office. This position is going to be primarily stationed out of Redmond. However, there will be travel required to go down to Klamath and Lake, right? We have a whole other team there. So the requirement will be to go down there and spend 2 to 3 days at a time to really connect, really be able to see the operations, look at what improvements need to be done, and how this person that gets this position can advocate for the Klamath and Lake County staff and managers. So there will be a lot of travel between the two districts. Obviously, travel is, well, maybe it's not obvious, I shouldn't say that, is reimbursed for, hotel and per diem and of course mileage, or if there's a state car available, then a state car is provided. So don't think y'all have to just out of pocket have to travel and not get reimbursed. The state does do that. And we do have a travel budget because we have several program managers that have to go long distances. So there is travel, and there's also travel within the districts. And what I mean by that is that This position will be primarily stationed out of Redmond, but there is Bend, there's Madras, there's Warm Springs, there's Prineville, there's Lapine. So it's even travel within the district 10 communities. It's really being a present leader. And that's what the storefront program manager position is all about. Remote work, 1 to 2 days a month, right? We want to give that opportunity, but we also need that face and we need that leader that's really actively and intrinsically right embedded into the work that we do. So definitely most of the time we'll be in person. Work schedule 8 to 5 is the normal. However, this is what we call a professional work week. So if Serby is in this position and she needed to stay late, right? The next day she might come in an hour later to make up for that time. Or she might come in early because she's got to travel to Madras. So it's really having that professional work week where we balance where we need to. So it could look like it's 7 to 5 for Serby today, but tomorrow it might be 8 to 3. So, but the normal schedule would be 8 to 5.
One of the great benefits to work for ODHS that I flex my time. So again, one of the best benefits we have here with DHS and overall state of Oregon as an employer. Um, the next piece I want to talk about to folks attending is the overall recruitment process. So the deadline for the application is March 31st at midnight, 11:59 p.m. So please get your materials in. If you're having any difficulties uploading your attachments, application materials, feel free to email me those and I'll be happy to upload those to your application for this role. And it has to be prior to the deadline. Any materials after the deadline, I won't be able to accept unless, of course, yeah, I had an email and I'm seeing on the first, and you send it to me prior to the deadline. That would be, of course, considered. The application requirements it's in either a resume or a complete workday profile. It doesn't have to be both, but one of them, yes, it's required. And the second piece is a cover letter. The cover letter should be focusing on how you meet the minimum qualifications, and we want to hear from you and how you meet the essential attributes. In which position of yours in your current or past experiences that you gained that skill. We want to see that in your cover letter, addressing how you meet every single attribute as well. So, stating how you meet those minimum qualifications, how you meet those attributes in your application materials is very important, not only for us, the recruitment team or the recruiter assigned to see you meet the minimum qualifications and screening on the attributes, but also further along, if you're selected to be the top candidate, it helps with the equal pay assessment as well when the salary is being determined for the top candidate then. So this is a must as you comprise and work on your application materials. But I will put my email and phone in the chat as well. And as I will make sure to include the information in when I send out the recording to the attendees as well. But make sure that your application materials are complete. If you're having any technical issues, I'm here to support with that. But a completion of that you'll see in the job posting as well, and I'll put it we want to see how you meet those attributes and qualifications in your application materials, and I will put in the chat as well. Our next question is around interview timeline and process. We are hoping to do 2 interviews post screening, but AJ, if you would like to talk more about that, or I'm happy to continue on the interview process as well.
Serby, you can go ahead. You're doing a fab.
Wonderful. So here I'm putting about the application materials in the chat. The job history and also laying out your essential attributes. How have you met them through your current or past experiences? Once the position closes, we will be conducting application screening. Our screening processes focus on the minimum qualifications, looking for essential attributes, and the top candidates get invited to the first round of interviews. For this recruitment, AJ, so we've decided to do 2 rounds of interviews. So every round would determine who would move on to the next round, and the finalists would be determined from so on. So this is overall the interview process. So we happen so candidates will know whether they're moving forward or not in a very timely manner because we respect your time you're investing into the position, and we want to be mindful that you get regular updates as well. Um, with this, I would love to open it up to folks. Are welcome to ask questions either through coming off mute or through chat, and I and AJ would be happy to answer those.
I only had one question. I was just curious. Well, I mean, I've been researching a little bit on this position, but I was just wondering if you guys have specific goals for each community then, or each county. And you already answered about the office slash field, but I was gonna ask like the percentage of like how often you're out of office and in office, what the percentage on that was, but you kind of answered that sort of. But yeah, just pretty much the other question was about the goals for each community or county.
Good question. So we don't go by community or county as far as performance goals or standards. It really is that statewide lens. And so for us, I'm just going to speak to SNAP for statewide, and this is actually nationwide. We must reach an accuracy level of 95%. That is, it is what it is, right? And that's for every state in the nation. For timeliness within federal policies for SNAP is 95%. At least the federal government was consistent in that, and it's a very high bar to reach. For our medical programs, Medicaid specifically, their accuracy is 100%. And so, how do we maintain that? Oregon has done a fabulous job before it went to 100% to stay at 98%. That is amazing. And so we hope that it won't take us very much effort to go up to 100% with our medical. Customer service wise, we do have some standards, and that is trying to serve people as they come in the door. If we can serve you within 30 minutes, get your eligibility all the way as far as we can work it. And what I mean by that is, are we approving the customer? Are we denying them, unfortunately? Or are we pending them, saying, hey, this is what we need you to bring back so that we can process or determine the rest of your eligibility for this program? And so that really is that same day. And if we can't serve you today, can we serve you tomorrow? And that is, again, statewide. We also want consistency in our customer service. So if Chris goes into an office in Bend, he's going to get the same services that he would if he went to Roseburg, right? So it's that consistency in customer service and trying to do that service equality along with that service equity when it comes to language and meeting those needs as well. We don't want one person getting different services or a level of customer service than someone else. We don't want that. We want it to ensure that we have that consistency. So back to your question, we have no specific standards for a community or a county. We do have those statewide standards that everyone must meet, whether it be the state of same day, next day customer service or those federal requirements for our programs. Did that help?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Phyllis, and I have a quick question regarding the accuracy rate, 95%, in the onboarding of new eligibility workers, right? And so I know that could probably be, a little challenging when you're onboarding and they're just learning the job. But I know when I worked in this area in Louisiana, we were able to control the percentage of new applications our new staff received on a daily basis until such time that they were more educated on eligibility and the speed and accuracy picked up, and usually we advance them over the course of 4 months. What's your onboarding like for a new eligibility staff?
Good question. We have 9 programs that we deliver services for. So that's a lot for an eligibility worker to learn and maintain. So we do it in staggered steps. So if we have a new eligibility staff, the first one they learn is SNAP. And so they go through, I think it's a week, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, I think. I haven't been through it in 20 years, so I don't know exactly. But you go through that SNAP training, and then there's on the job training, right? We have learned over the years that you've got to do it to maintain it. And so, with that, to your question, Phyllis, then we are giving folks expedited SNAP. For those of you that don't know what expedited SNAP is, they're usually simpler in determining eligibility. A lot of those have no income. These are folks that have no income. That's why they're at our door, because they can't put food in their mouths, right? And so they do maybe 1 or 2 a day. We have lead workers that then review that work. They look to see before they issue or authorize those benefits, make sure that they are correct. And if they're not, talking with that new staff, hey, it looks like you forgot this piece. Go back and fix it. And here's the policy. So you remember why you shouldn't do this or what you forgot. And then they fix it, and then we authorize. Then we move on to TANF, temporary aid to needy families. They go through that. Then they go back to the office, so to speak, and do temporary aid to needy families and learn that. And they'll authorize it. It's reviewed before it goes out. And so we do it in staggered steps. For us, Phyllis, I mean, I was an eligibility worker, and like I said, long ago.
So was I.
Right? Exactly.
Yes.
So for me, it takes about 6 months for an eligibility worker to really grasp all the things. I'm not saying being good at it, but to grasp all of the rules in our programs. It usually takes a solid year for someone to feel like, I think I know what I'm doing. But along the way, Phyllis, we have things in place to help develop and encourage and do that progression to that 95% for sure. And with the changes to that accuracy to 95%, we also have reviews happening everywhere. We have pre-analytics where we're going in and saying, we think that these applications are going to be high payment. Let's review those before they're issued. And that's on seasoned staff, right? So we have a lot of things in place that we've put in place over the last 6 months to really, whether it's a new staff or a seasoned staff, how can we really ensure that what is going out is, number one, the right amount for the customer? Because as some of you may or may not know, the customer has to pay it back if we do it wrong, right? Or they don't get what they should, and now we got to do an underpayment and give them some maybe months down the road. So really put some really strategic and intentional efforts. But that's really the onboarding, Phyllis, for our eligibility staff, if that helped.
It does, because I do remember I was thinking about how because some of us were, when I worked eligibility, some of us were TANF, some of us were SNAP, some of us were Medicaid, some of us were everything. But we often lost quite a few new workers on the first day after lunch. They just wouldn't come back because they didn't quite understand how overwhelming, or give themselves time to adjust to how overwhelming seeing 200 applications in your queue, because the system is not designed for you to get ahead, but it's designed for you to keep up and get the applications out in a timely manner so that we meet the requirements for decision making from the federal government. But that was my concern. Just question around the challenges they face in being overwhelmed in the beginning. Because yeah, we lost quite a few new people after lunch. A few times they just did not come back after lunch, and yeah.
We've seen that in some instances, but it's also making sure that people know, and that's where we rely on the supervisors when they're hiring people, really being honest and transparent about what the job is, so that they don't walk in and go, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? We're going to have those, but really being honest up front. It's not to scare them away. It's really to be Again, we're telling you what this is, and it really is that human services. The good news is that for us, our eligibility staff can't see the thousands of tasks in the system, which is a good thing when they first start, because if you see 59,000 tasks in the system, that's going to make you walk away at lunch, right? So we have ways to really have them focus on this one application and then move to the other and really do that. What's in front of you. Don't worry. The supervisors and program managers and administrators are worried about all the other things. You worry about today and how do we help support you through today and tomorrow and next week and next month, and how can we do that? And that is done by monthly check-ins, and it's done with performance feedback quarterly. It's really having that connection with your supervisor so that when people are struggling, we're putting supports in place to help them in their unique learning style, their own struggles versus kind of that blanket standard. So definitely some things we have put in place to ensure that we are supporting to the best of our ability as leaders.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for the question.
I want to say thank you, Phyllis. Those questions were really eye-opening.
Yeah, if they, one of the things I remember when I started, I was really surprised. I'm glad you have a way to shield new workers from that, but I know when I first started and as I moved up, the applications, there was a way to work them, especially the expedited. I think we had 48 or 72 hours to get those out. There's a way to work them and try not to focus on the full 200 that's in your queue, pending the new ones every morning and going through the process. And so we had an excellent trainer, and they learned from the people that would leave and not come back after lunch, and they would contact them and say, hey, what happened, or how are you feeling? And they would tell them exactly what you said. I didn't quite understand the scope of what I would be doing. I should have asked more questions, or I don't know if it was explained to me properly, but I don't think I would be a good fit. And they would be honest about it because we knew you can just really get overwhelmed looking at we had like 4 monitors on your desk trying to determine all the income coming from SSI, coming from any other source, and yeah, it was difficult, but they were helpful in assisting us in designing trainings that would shield them, like you said, from the entire picture and just work what they see in front of them.
Thank you. I see a hand up. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, my name's Andrina. Thanks for your time today. I think this is a great format to hear about the position and the requirements and the hiring process. I can definitely hear there's a lot of checks and balances in the system when you're bringing on new employees. Would you be open to me asking about and inquiring about the turnover rate, or if you have eyes on that for the offices in District 10 and 11? And then I know sometimes when it sounded like OEP, you said was formed 14 months ago. Okay, so that's fast growth. So that was a piece I was understanding, because it can be very good to understand that, like, how fast has the team grown? Would you be open to discussing those numbers? And then one more question, sorry. Do we have, or a piece of it? How about I'll sell it like that? There's a piece for the counters on the different, or for the teams on the different storefronts. Are there accessibility tools that we've made standard across the state that we're using? Or is it up to each of those office based on the audience's audience percentages that they're serving potentially? Are there standardized practices for accessibility across the state for those storefronts?
Accessibility as in for our customer.
Yeah, sorry, for the customers. So like language translation or yeah, sorry, thanks.
You're fine. So So OEP, or Oregon Eligibility Partnership, was born, I'll say born, I think I can say that, by bringing eligibility staff that were historically under aging and people with disability and self-sufficiency. That was very clunky for our customers because we did things different in those programs. So when we formed Oregon Eligibility Partnership, we brought all that experience, all that culture, all that knowledge to OEP. So that's the good news. Even though we're a new program, we brought all the experts with us that were doing the work. What we have seen, and specific to your question, I don't know specifically District 10 and 11 as far as turnover, but what I can tell you is our turnover statewide has actually decreased since we brought everyone together, and we're at about 15 to 18%. And I would say 50% of that, I believe, was the last time I looked at those numbers. 50% of that is because they're promoting or they're going to other departments within ODHS. You know what? I've done this work, this eligibility work for a couple of years. I want to go do case management at aging and people with disabilities. Or you know what? I want to promote to a lead worker. So within that, we have seen a lot of growth and promotion and people moving to the places where their passion lies. So it's not like, peace out, I don't like this, I'm leaving for private sector. It's really about, you know what, I've developed these skills. Now let me see what else I can do in my development of my ODHS career. So not specific to 10 or 11, but it's between 15 and 18% of that turnover. And again, 50%-ish, the last time I looked at it, were for promotions within ODHS. As far as accessibility for our customers across its standards. So when we have tools, so we have what's called the language line. I think you use language as one of those. So if we do not have a bilingual eligibility staff that can service someone on the spot in the preferred language that they communicate in, we have the language line. We can actually call and we get an interpreter on the phone. And so it's that middle person that can speak culturally the language that is their preference, and then be able to translate it back to the worker and do that in a way that we can have that seamless conversation as much as you can for an interpreter. That way we can meet the needs. But it's also about customer choice. I'm going to pick on Serbi again, right? So Serbi comes in and she wants to apply for SNAP benefits, and her preference of language is Spanish. I'm going to give her a choice. I'm going to say, you know, Serbi, we can see you right now with someone that will be pulling in an interpreter to do the eligibility, or would you prefer to meet with someone that speaks your language in person that is our staff? They get the choice. It's customer choice. If Serbi's like, no, I'm totally fine with an interpreter, then we're going to go forward. But if Serbi says, no, I want someone that actually speaks my language and knows my culture, then we're going to schedule Serbi with that person. It may be tomorrow, but we're going to let Serbi know that. And if that's what she wants, that's what she's going to get. So that's standard across the state. We also have ASL services that we contract out on, we coordinate with. We also have TTY and those services. But with all that being said, all of our processes, whether it be our language line, whether it be our ASL, as far as accessibility to our services, we also have standard eligibility guides for every eligibility worker. So if Rachel wants to know how we do this one process for this one thing, she's going to read the same exact thing that Patricia will. And so we have standardized processes, and that really creates an environment where we can train and everybody gets the same information. Everybody has the same access. So again, we go back to those consistent standards. Like, quite frankly, some of those big corporations, right? Customer service is really what we're about. And we know that a lot of our customers are, they move, they're mobile, right? They may be staying with sister in Bend, but they may move to Portland and live with brother because it's just a better environment. we want that person to get the same services or as close as we can. And to do that, we have to have those standardized processes for all of our eligibility staff. And that includes training, communications, all of it. We try so hard to make sure that everyone gets the same thing so that those services can be accessible in the same way. That helps.
It absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Anybody else would like to go? Rachel, I see your hand up.
Because I was picking on
mute. Sorry. Hi, I'm Rachel Storkle. It's nice to meet you. I did have a question about how many employees will this person be responsible for on a daily basis?
Oh, good question. And I forgot to pull that up. Let me see here. Let me see if I can pull it up really, really quick.
Okay, thank you.
So for, oh, of course, it's not going to be all accessible right now. So this position directly supervises the supervisors. So their direct immediate reports are going to be supervisors. I believe there are 10 total, 3 in Klamath and Lake, and the rest are in the Jefferson, Crook, Deschutes areas. So it's 10 supervisors. From that, I'm going to try and get the employee one up really, really quickly. And of course, it's, oh, here it is. It's on my other screen. Sorry. I have multiple screens. So for District 10, it looks like with the combined branches, so this is all of Jefferson, Crook, and Deschutes County, there are 79 eligibility staff and support staff within OEP. In Klamath and Lake counties, it's 38. And that is just the support staff and the eligibility staff. There are leads. I don't have that screen up. There's lead workers in those as well. I'm going to take a wild guess, and I think there's around 4 or 5 that you could throw into that mix. And then, of course, the 10 supervisors, which are the ones that are supervising the day-to-day work with the eligibility staff. So how does this position really lead the supervisors? How do they give them the knowledge, support, development, standards, goals, and keep them on track so then the supervisors can really work with those that are actually doing the work, if that makes sense, Rachel?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? We do have 7 minutes.
I had one,
Hi.
if I may. Hi, my name's John Lidstrom. Again, thank you so much for setting this up and answering all the questions. My question was really around from kind of a hitting the ground running and kind of a boots on the ground perspective. What are kind of the immediate, do you see, AJ, as the immediate kind of needs for this position in these districts? Kind of that first like 6 months outside of learning the role, which is obviously going to be in and of itself very important. But what are some of those immediate needs to be working with the supervisors and and ultimately this all of the staff that are supporting these customers?
So I would say, as you said, right, putting aside just learning the people, learning the cultures in each branch, learning your supervisors, it's really understanding the immediate urgency of all the changes that are happening with HR1 and with SNAP accuracy. So what I didn't mention in the HR1, because it hasn't happened yet, but it's gonna, Medicaid now has work requirements, meaning you have to look for work to continue to get your medical benefits. That is a huge, huge change. And so it's really getting up to speed on all the intricacies of the HR1 federal bill and how it directly affects our staff and the people that we serve. It is a lot, and it's really learning those. What does it mean for our communities? and really the urgency on how we need to get that accuracy to that high standard that FNS has set for us. So learning the changes, how it's going to directly affect the communities we serve, and with SNAP, obviously all the changes with that and the accuracy. So it's really getting up to speed, meeting with folks in our central office that can really explain it. I can do a fairly good job of it too. I've been around since dirt was invented, so I know a little bit about SNAP. But it's really understanding and asking those questions. I really don't understand this. Can you walk me through it? And if it means that you got to ask 3 times, ask 3 times. That's what we're all here for, whether me as the direct leader or all of our amazing people in our OEP central office that do our processes, that collaborate with policy. And we've got it obvious. I don't know if it's obvious. We have 3 deputy directors and we have a director. They are amazing people. They have a title, but they also know that we've got to help people through all of these changes. Always willing to. I have my peers, peer administrators. We are a village, and I think that's born out of the fact we're only 14 months old. That we have all come together to really make sure that we are all in this together. So it really is learning all of those changes because it's a lot.
Thank you. That helps me out a lot because that's, when you're thinking about it, right? You're thinking about how do you make those immediate pieces so it's not just coming in and then spending the first 6 months just learning. Learning the culture is important, but it's also important to be doing the work, so you're not losing that time frame. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you got to be able to lead through it, right, John? And so to know those things and to learn those and to reach out and ask questions, that's how you're going to be able to lead the teams. Thought I saw a hand. Did I see it?
Yes, I believe it's Louise.
Hi there. AJ, I'm going to give you a break. I have a question for Sir B.
Go ahead,
Um,
please.
Sir B, I'm looking at the job history in
Mhm.
Workday, and very below, I believe it's something new because I don't remember seeing it before. It says upload my experience. Do you know what gets uploaded in there?
Are you like in the application itself or the job posting?
No, I'm in Workday itself
Oh, okay. So
in job
yeah, so
history.
it'll be the place where you can drop your application materials like Word documents or the PDF, your resume or cover letter. So you'll see a drop-in file within that area.
In the job history
Yes.
portion.
So either you can do a complete Workday profile or a resume. So both of them are not required, only one of them. So you can either drop your resume in a Word or PDF
I get it.
format
Okay.
along with your cover letter, and the box will take multiple attachments. Sometimes folks say, "Oh, only resume." No, multiple can be uploaded in there. But again, if you feel like it's not going through, just email me and I will get your application materials uploaded before the deadline.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Stacy, I saw you waving.
Yes. Thank you guys for this information. It's been amazing. I've been in a different field for a long time, but burnout has been a huge factor in how I train my staff. With this, I've worked very little early on in DHS, but I do know there is a lot of stress in this job, frustration, I'm sure, not being able to get the benefits to people that need them. Do you guys have systems in place, or is it something we could help with bringing in and training through burnout when we see it, so that we could step in and help our managers before they get to a level of the job's not fun anymore, they're not enjoying the job? As leadership, I'm sure that's a lot of what we're going to be overseeing is tough cases, tough people, and trying to help them on a day-to-day basis as we visit with each office. Is that something you guys have, or kind of vague question, I know, but.
Wow, burnout, right? Burnout's a real thing. I mean, it is in any job, but specifically in eligibility, just because we have a huge workload and now we have a huge directive from our federal partners that they can't control either. And so with burnout, we have wellness policies. We have, we ask supervisors to make spaces Obviously, we don't have a lot of time to do that, but how can we do a unit meeting that maybe is only an hour and a half long, but how do you take 20 minutes to do something silly? How do you maybe do your unit meeting for storefronts and it's sunny and it's not snowing? How do you do it, outside just to get talking business, but the sun can do so much for folks to get outside of the cubicle world. And so we really do ask our supervisors to really create those spaces where they can and when they can. Morale committees or social committees. How can the staff really be involved with, hey, let's have a bake off and we're all going to bring in cupcakes, or, you're going to bring in your best foot forward. I know that there's also, around, of course, Halloween. Not everybody celebrates it. So we usually call it fall season, but people come in and they dress up in something silly, whether it be the blow up dinosaur, and visit, kiddos in the lobby, those types of things. Uh, are we putting, in the winter, are we putting up wrapping paper on the cubicle walls because it just makes it feel better? And so it's how can you do those little things, because burnout is real. And how do we create those small little bubbles that really help people get through each day when they hear time after time after time those crises that the people we serve are living through? It's hard and it's tough. And how can we just have a little bit of relief? And if that means, again, walking around in a dinosaur costume for a hot minute, or a friendly Raggedy Ann or Andy, then let's do it, right? So that's what we really ask. We have a business to run, absolutely. We are public servants, but how do we make those small spaces to really help that burnout? Because it is a real thing.
Thank you so much for the questions, everyone. And AJ, I know it's been a lot of talking, but this has been super beneficial, I'm sure, to folks attending. Next steps would be, as I said, the position closes March 31st, midnight. Please make sure to, if you have any difficulties, feel free to reach out to me. More than happy to assist. The recording will be ready either later this week or early next week. So I'll make sure to share with folks participating today via email as well. But I've put my contact in the chat as well. If there are any questions, please reach out to me. With this, I wish everybody a very wonderful rest of your weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.